Americans started recycling in the 1960s. It was linked to people's concern for the environment that started popping up, says Martin Melosi. The Rittenhouse family of Philadelphia were the founders of this metal recycling. Metal recycling was the first type of recycling that existed. According to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, recycling is an important way for individuals and businesses to reduce the waste they generate and reduce the negative impact of that waste. Because recycling is a big business in Ohio, every time you recycle, you support the many companies and employees doing this important work. So reduce, reuse, recycle, and buy recycled content products. When you go to the store and look at a product you want to buy, look at and see if it has the recycling symbol. Many products do have the recycling symbol, but many also don't. You should always go with the product that does have it. The first R of the 3 R's in recycling is reduce. It is also the most important and effective R out of the 3. Reduce means buying less or reducing consumption of plastics or anything that you can recycle. John Brennan said, designing items like plastic bottles in ways that use less material is another way to reduce consumption. Designing products like this can save a lot of money and time in the recycling industry. This is the most important step because if you're reducing the consumption of these products, you will have less products to worry about recycling. If you reduce the amount of waste you're taking in, it could really make an impact on our current and future environment. The second R of the 3 R's is reuse. They want you to reuse products that can be reused to reduce the amount and reduce the consumption of new resources. Rather than throwing out products that are empty after the first time you use it or if it's not brand new. For example, clothes. You can donate to the less fortunate or your local Goodwill so you aren't just throwing them away because they can still be used. John Brennan explains, reusing is the second most effective of the 3 R's, like reducing. It avoids creating waste rather than trying to recycle it once it's already there. A big part of reusing is composting. Many people use old jars to compost with, and they put old food or leftovers they have not eaten in the jar. As a person who lives in a household that recycles, we use many different ways, and I think you should too. My household composts in some way. We reuse our metal cans from canned goods to hold old grease from foods. We then recycle in that way. We also use 20-ounce bottles as a toy for our dog and the rings on the milk jugs for our cats. These things are great toys for our animals and the environment. I think you should really consider making this your everyday life. A good way of reusing is taking your own plastic shopping bags to the grocery store or even stores going bagless, so you have to use reusable bags. Recycling gives us more jobs. According to the article on Zero Waste Creates Jobs, a U.S. recycling rate of 75% by 2030 would create 1.1 million jobs. Recycling and reuse create at least 9 times more jobs in landfills and incinerators, and as many as 30 times more jobs. It is not only giving us jobs, but also saving the environment. I think if you would find this interesting and would like to know more about it, you could definitely call your local trash company and ask about it. The third R is recycling. It means the process in which an item or components are used to create something new. Recycling is technically a form of reusing, but you break down the material and use it to make new objects. These are the 3 R's: recycling, reducing, reusing. I think that recycling should be mandatory or made a law. You cannot really make reducing and reusing mandatory because what people do inside their house is not anyone else's decision. You can make recycling mandatory by giving everyone a recycling bin and a pamphlet on what they need to do to make it happen. Most trash companies also will give you a free recycling bin, so you are more likely to recycle. If we were to make it mandatory or the law, we could reduce the amount of landfills there are. In conclusion, recycling is a great thing for our environment and saves a lot of money and gives you a lot more jobs.